The end of World War II brought a period of economic growth and optimism. Automakers responded by producing cars that reflected this newfound prosperity with larger, more luxurious models that emphasized comfort and style. The decade witnessed intense competition among automakers, leading to a wide variety of models and styles. This competition drove innovation and resulted in a diverse range of cars, from luxurious sedans to sporty convertibles and high-performance sports cars. In today's video, we will go through 9 classical gems that defined the 1950s. 1951 Chrysler New Yorker. The Chrysler New Yorker, produced from 1940 to 1996, was a prominent model in Chrysler's lineup, often serving as the brand's flagship or as a secondary sedan to the Chrysler Imperial during periods when Imperial was not a standalone brand. The New York Special trim level first appeared in 1938, with the New Yorker name officially debuting in 1939. The New Yorker helped establish Chrysler as a manufacturer of upscale vehicles, competing with high-end models from Buick, Oldsmobile, and Mercury. Throughout its production run, the New Yorker was Chrysler's most prestigious model, offered in various body styles including sedan, coupe, and convertible. By the time it was discontinued in 1996, the New Yorker held the distinction of being the longest-running American car nameplate. In 1951, a new body style was introduced for the 1950 model year, a 2-door hardtop called the Newport, along with a special club coupe. Safety features were enhanced with the addition of foam rubber padding on the dashboard. The New Yorker represented the more luxurious option among Chrysler's 8-cylinder models. Concurrently, the Saratoga was repositioned as a more affordable option, featuring a straight 8 engine with simpler trim and cloth upholstery in multiple colors. The Saratoga was equipped with a 135 horsepower Spitfire straight 8 engine and offered a spacious interior with chair height seats. The Prestomatic fluid drive transmission featured 2 forward ranges, each with 2 speeds. In normal driving, the high range was engaged using the clutch, allowing the car to be driven without further clutch use unless reverse or low range was needed. At speeds above 13 miles per hour, releasing the accelerator prompted the transmission to shift into the higher gear of the range with a slight clunk. When the car came to a stop, the lower gear was re-engaged. 1952 Maserati A6 GCS or 53 Spider. The Maserati A6 series, produced between 1947 and 1956, comprised a range of Grand Tours, racing sports cars, and single-seaters crafted by the Italian automaker Maserati. The series was named in honor of Alfieri Maserati, one of the founding Maserati brothers, and featured a distinctive straight-six engine. The initial model, the A6TR or Testa Riportata, referring to its detachable cylinder head, was powered by a 1.5-liter straight-six engine that produced 65 horsepower or 48 kilowatts. This engine was derived from the pre-war Maserati 6CM. The A6TR debuted in the A6 Sport or Tipo 6CS46, a Barchetta prototype developed by Ernesto Maserati and Alberto Massimino. This prototype evolved into the A6 1500, a 2-door Berlinetta designed by Pininfarina, which was first unveiled at the 1947 Salone International del Lotto in Geneva, with 59 units produced. A Spider version was later showcased at the 1948 Salone dell'Automobile di Torino, with only 2 units made. A more powerful 2-liter 120-horsepower straight-six engine was introduced in the A6 GCS, a 2-seater where G stood for Giza, cast iron block, and CS for Corsa Sport. The A6G series consisted of 2-door coupes and Spiders designed for street use rather than competition. These models were bodied by renowned coach builders such as Pininfarina, Pietro Frua, Ghia, Bertone, Carrozzeria Alemano, Zagato, and Vignale. The A6G models featured cast-iron engine blocks and were typically equipped with 16-inch Barani wheels and Pirelli Stella Bianca tires. 1955 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. The Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, or chassis code W198, is a renowned 2-seat sports car produced by Mercedes-Benz from 1954 to 1963. Initially offered as a gull-wing coupe from 1954 to 1957 and later as a roadster from 1957 to 1963, the 300SL traces its lineage back to the company's 1952 racing car, the W194. The 300SL featured a mechanical direct fuel injection system that significantly boosted the power output of its 3-liter overhead camshaft straight-six engine. Capable of reaching speeds up to 162 miles per hour, the 300SL earned a reputation as a formidable sports car racing champion and was the fastest production car of its era. The car's iconic gull-wing doors and innovative lightweight tubular frame construction solidified its status as a groundbreaking and highly influential automobile. The designation SL stands for Super Leicht, which translates to super light in German, highlighting the car's racing-inspired lightweight construction. The 300SL was introduced to the American market at the suggestion of Max Hoffman, Mercedes-Benz's United States importer at the time, who saw the potential demand for a high-performance sports car among American buyers. Today, the Mercedes-Benz 300SL remains a highly coveted classic car, celebrated for its exceptional performance, timeless design, and technological advancements. 1956 BMW 507. The BMW 507 is a grand touring convertible produced by German automaker BMW from 1956 to 1959. Originally intended for export to the US with ambitious sales targets, the 507 ultimately proved too expensive, leading to a total production of just 252 cars and significant financial losses for BMW. Much like the Mercedes-Benz 300SL, the concept for the BMW 507 was initiated by American automobile importer Max Hoffman, who in 1954 convinced BMW management to create a roadster version of the BMW 501 and 502 saloons. This new model was designed to fill the gap between the high-end Mercedes-Benz 300SL and the more affordable but less powerful Triumph and MG sports cars. BMW engineer Fritz Fiedler was tasked with designing the rolling chassis, utilizing existing components where possible. Early body designs by Ernst Loof were rejected by Hoffman for being unappealing. In November 1954, at Hoffman's insistence, BMW commissioned designer Albrecht von Gortz to design both the BMW 503 and the 507. The initial production run, known as Series 1, consisted of 34 cars built in 1956 and early 1957. These models featured welded aluminum fuel tanks with a capacity of 110 liters or 29.1 US gallons positioned behind the rear seats. This design choice limited both trunk space and passenger space and resulted in a noticeable fuel smell inside the car when the soft top or hard top was in place. Subsequent Series 2 and later 507 had smaller 66-liter or 17.4 US gallon fuel tanks located under the trunk, shaped around the spare tire space. 1956 Lincoln Continental. The Continental Mark Series, later known as the Lincoln Mark Series, is a line of personal luxury cars produced by a Ford Motor Company. The name was first used with the Continental Mark II in 1956, which succeeded the Lincoln Continental of 1939 to 1948. After the Mark II was discontinued, Ford continued using the Mark series on Continental branded vehicles from 1958 to 1960. Following a brief hiatus, Lincoln Mercury reintroduced the Continental Mark series in 1968. The new model was branded as a Continental Mark III to suggest continuity with the flagship 1956 to 1957 Continental Mark II, rather than less successful 1958 to 1960 models. The revived Mark series saw 6 successive generations produced through the 1998 model year. Throughout its production, the Mark series served as a flagship vehicle of Ford Motor Company. Beginning with the Mark III, the series continued to use Continental branding, similar to how the Continental nameplate was positioned above Lincoln before its discontinuation in July 1956, and distinct from the Lincoln Continental models introduced from 1961 onward. All Continental Mark series models were marketed and serviced by Lincoln Mercury. 1956 AC Ace Roadster. The AC Ace is a sports car produced by AC Cars of Thames Ditton, England from 1953 to 1963. During its 10-year run, approximately 220 AC Aces and 466 Ace Bristol cars were produced. AC re-entered the market after the Second World War with the 2-liter range of cars in 1947, but it was the Ace sports car of 1953 that truly established the company's post-war reputation. Looking to replace the aging 2-liter, AC adopted a design by John Tojero that featured a light ladder-type tubular frame, fully independent transverse leaf spring suspension, and an open 2-seater alloy body crafted using English wheeling machines, possibly inspired by the Ferrari 166mm Barchetta. Early models of the AC Ace used the company's older 100 bhp 2-liter overhead cam straight-six engine, which had first appeared soon after the end of the First World War. According to a 1954 road test by Motor Magazine, this engine provided a top speed of 103 miles per hour, an acceleration from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 11.4 seconds, with fuel consumption of 25.2 miles per imperial gallon or 11.2 liters per 100 kilometers. However, this engine was not considered sporty enough, and it was clear that a more modern and powerful engine was needed to fully utilize the advanced chassis. 1957 Ford Thunderbird. The first generation of the Ford Thunderbird, produced from 1955 to 1957, was a 2-seat convertible and marked Ford's first 2-seater since 1938. Developed in response to the 1953 Motorama display at the New York Auto Show, which featured the Chevrolet Corvette, the Thunderbird aimed to capture the growing American interest in European sports cars. Dubbed a personal car of distinction by Ford, this description was also adopted by the motoring press of the time. The Thunderbird drew inspiration from the bespoke roadsters of the 1930s, but was constructed largely from existing components, marking an early step toward the evolution of the personal luxury car segment in the United States. While relatively lightweight for its era and equipped with a standard V8 engine, the Thunderbird prioritized driver comfort over outright speed, positioning it differently from the Corvette and European sports cars. This focus on comfort resonated with the American market, leading to sales of 16,155 units in 1955, compared to just 674 Corvettes. This generation remained the only 2-seat convertible Thunderbird until the 11th generation model was introduced in 2002. The design of this first-generation Thunderbird served as a direct inspiration for the German auto union 1000 SP. 1958 Vespa 400. The Vespa 400 was unveiled to the public on September 26, 1957 at a press event in Monaco, with ACMA directors inviting 3 celebrity racing drivers to ensure strong media presence. Designed as a 2-seater, the 400 offered additional space behind the seats for luggage or 2 small children on an optional cushion. The front seats consisted of simple tubular metal frames with cloth upholstery, supported by elastic springs. The handbrake, starter, and choke controls were positioned between the seats, with the gear shift located centrally on the floor. The rear hinge doors featured a thin plastic lining on the interior of the metal door panel, maximizing internal space. Early models had fixed main door windows, which, although criticized, provided more usable width for the driver and passenger. The instrumentation was basic, including only a speedometer and warning lights for low fuel, main beam, dynamo charging, and indicators. The cabriolet fabric roof could be rolled back from the windscreen header rail to the top of the rear engine cover, leaving metal sides above the doors. The 12-volt battery was situated at the front of the car, behind a dummy front grille on a slidable shelf. The spare wheel was stored in a compartment under the passenger seat. 1959 MGA 1500. The MGA is a sports car produced by MG from 1955 to 1962. It succeeded the MGTF 1500 Midget and marked a significant departure from the styling of MG's earlier sports cars. The MGA was announced on September 26, 1955 and officially launched at the Frankfurt Motor Show. Over its production run, a total of 101,476 units were sold, with the vast majority exported. only 5,869 cars were sold in the home market. The MGA was eventually replaced by the MGB. The design of the MGA traces back to 1951 when MG designer Sid and Never created a streamlined body for George Phillips's TD Le Mans car. This new bodywork abandoned the MGTS's articulated fenders and running board in favor of ponton styling, featuring a single-styled envelope that fully enclosed the width and length of the car. The MGA utilized a body-on-frame design. Its suspension was independent with coil springs and wishbones at the front and a rigid axle with semi-elliptic springs at the rear. Steering was handled by a rack and pinion system. The car was available with either wire-spoked or steel disc road wheels. The 1950s was a golden age for the automotive industry, marked by bold designs, innovative technologies, and a cultural shift that celebrated the car as a symbol of freedom and prosperity. We would love to hear from you. Which car from the 1950s is your favorite? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating journeys through automotive history. Thank you for joining us on this nostalgic ride.